What's happening, Fable squad? Right, man, I'm back. Sorry, I just took 3 days because I needed 3 days. I had a whole bunch of things that I had to deal with that was on my plate. But yeah, I'm back. So let's go. April G showers. I promised her to do this reaction. I actually am a little bit late on it. I apologize. So it's actually the hardest piece she's ever written. And I think it's called So Can You by April G, and it's spoken word. Right, man, she's back at it, doing her thing again with poetry and that kind of thing, and let's get into it, guys.
What up, YouTube fam? It's April G Showers back at y'all with a poem. I just wrote this last night. I'm doing something a little different with this one. It is called So Can You. But this poem is not a whole lot different than what I normally write, but I go into detail about the school shooting, which I have never done before in a piece of writing of mine. I've never done that. I didn't know whether
The one cool thing about April is that she actually keeps trying to better herself. I actually noticed that in the different reactions that I've done to her stuff, right? So she's consistently trying to see how much harder she can actually push this whole writing thing. She's trying to see if she can play with more words, if she can go more in depth, if she can bring more of the realism. I've been noticing that. I've actually been noticing that in her writing, which is pretty cool.
just read it or whatever. But I picked out some music to go in the background with it. And I'm going to do like spoken word with music in the background, and it's a lot harder than it looks, y'all. So just bear with me. This is
trust me, I know it is a lot harder than it looks. This is not easy to do. It's not easy to do what she does. I've been writing my own stuff as well lately. I don't want to remind too many people that I did promise them a track that's I will be releasing. But yeah, I'm not. When I put something out, especially when it comes to that kind of thing, I just need it to be perfect. So I need the sound quality to be good. I need the recording to be good. I'm almost there. But yeah, it is a lot harder than you think to do this kind of thing. So hats off. And sorry, I'm wearing a hat and a hoodie because it is freaking cold over here. Freaking cold. You have no idea.
very difficult for me to do. I hope y'all like it. I hope it helps someone. So yeah, it's called So Can You. It took me a little over 2 hours to write. Very difficult piece. Hope y'all like it.
Let's go.
G squad, fist bump. Love y'all. Let's get it.
So guys, I'm trying to try not to pause too much during this because I usually like to listen to April G's stuff without just commentating on the thing the entire time. When I have something to say, obviously I'll stop it, but I'm not gonna pause too much so you guys can actually just listen.
I have not watched the news since November of '95 when the school shooting happened and my best friend didn't survive. It was a Wednesday morning, just a normal school day, around 7:50 a.m. when we heard shots in the hallway. At first we thought it was a prank, some kid just acting dumb, setting off firecrackers, then everybody started to run. My best friend and I were in the hall. She had just bent down to get water from the fountain. Then again we heard that sound. He had just shot 2 teachers in the other hallway, then rounded the corner and held the rifle up to aim. His target was another teacher standing by me and my friend. He aimed.
Oh, wait a second. Did this really happen? April, I know you're gonna watch this. Is this a true story? Did this actually happen to you? Or is it just like a storytelling that thing that it sounds like this really actually happened to you? That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But okay.
And took a shot and hit her by accident. I glanced down the hallway. There he stood in a black trench coat. My best friend stood up from the fountain, her eyes widened as she grabbed her throat. I just stood there in shock. She fell down to the ground. Kids were running and screaming. I'll never forget that sound. That teacher was yelling at us all, everyone to the lunchroom. The double doors slammed shut. No one knew what to do. 2 teachers and a student tackled him to the ground, took the rifle away, and just held him down. He was basically my neighbor. We all rode the bus together. Little did we know the day before that our lives would soon change forever. I remember getting back on the bus, just staring out the window, wondering if she was all right the entire way back home. The next thing I remember, I was sitting on the couch, listening to the news and radio with my mom in our house. Miss Foster passed away. Miss Yancey survived.
Sounds very real, actually. Sounds like it actually did happen to April. This is madness, I mean, the school shootings that actually happen in America is absolutely ridiculous. Now, what do you put it on? What do you put it on? Right? I mean, do you take away the Second Amendment right that has been there since the founding fathers? Is it more about a mental health issue with regards to kids and that kind of vibe? More about counseling? What do you do? What do you do? Because this happens often. This happens more often than not in America, these school shootings. And it's so sad to hear this. It's so sad to hear, especially now, actually hearing that it actually happened to somebody that we actually know and love. You know what I mean? What do you do? What do you do? I mean, it's such a difficult issue and such a contentious issue as well in the States because it happens often. I don't know. I don't even know how you solve something like this.
A gunshot wound to the head, still in shock, I not cried. I just sat there waiting for an update on my friend. With every news report I heard, I thought, is this really happening? All of a sudden, on the radio, I heard them say her name. I quickly muted the TV so I could hear what they were saying. Please, God, let her be alright. Please say that she's stable. I'll never forget those words. Dying college just out on the operating table. I just sat there in complete shock. Didn't even shed a tear. We didn't go to school the next day. I was filled with so much fear. 2 days later, couldn't get on the bus because my friend was gone.
So firstly, the music piece that you picked out was absolutely beautiful. The piano and violin suits this kind of story. So I like the fact that you picked that particular one. And I'm actually pretty captivated by the way you're actually telling this. I mean, the story is pretty hectic, so I would be captivated either way. But April, you're a very good storyteller, which I really like. I mean, you're very captivating. Essentially, I'd love to see you do something on GarageBand. You know what I mean? And try and put a bit of a reverb and that kind of up. It'd be very cool.
So my mom drove me to school. I felt so scared and alone. I remember pulling up to the school, seeing the yellow crime scene tape, news reporters and cameras everywhere. My whole body began to shake. Then I walked in the front door, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. It felt like a living nightmare. I started crying and couldn't stop. That entire day at school, all any of us did was cry. No counseling, no therapy. We all just wondered why. See, back then
Why wouldn't they give you counseling or therapy after something like that? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's highly irresponsible of any educational institution to not give kids counseling or therapy after something like that.
Didn't happen, so no one knew what to do. We never talked about it. My life became unglued. I always wanted to be a teacher ever since I was a little girl. That day changed all of that. Hell, it changed my entire world. I began having flashbacks, daily panic attacks. Didn't feel safe anymore, wanted my friend and my life back. Diagnosed with PTSD, the anxiety I could not escape. Didn't know how to handle it, so I began to self-medicate. Started smoking weed at 16, felt some relief at last. It helped me to not have to feel the pain and grief from my past. Smoked it daily over 10 years and started trying new things. Being an addict was never a thought. or the consequences it brings. Got pregnant in '07 and I quit it all. I did it for my child though, and never thought I would fall.
Well done. It's very good that you actually, when you're actually aware of certain situations when you're about to have kids, and kids can actually do that. Kids can repair a lot of things, specifically when you're actually bringing a new human being into the world. You kind of feel like there's a responsibility to your kids. So all the shenanigans that we all get up to at one point or another in our lives, we decide to sort of just call it quits, you know what I mean? Because there's a kid in the way. Not that I ever dabbled in that sort of thing. I was always sort of very anti it. With regards to weed, of course, I've smoked weed before. I'm not an avid weed smoker. I'm not an avid anything, actually. I don't drink much. I don't smoke weed much, maybe once or twice on occasion. And as for other drugs, never touched. Never touched cocaine, never touched any other drug. The only drug I've ever tried was weed. So I'm not one to talk, and I'm not one to judge anybody on their life experiences with drugs. But going back to my initial point is that people tend to, when there is another human at play, another human that's coming, sort of like it kind of gives them that awakening, as April said in 2007, where she's like, okay, well, I'm quitting this all right because I've now got another human being that needs me to stay, sane and at the top of my frequency. So good on you, April. I love that.
Had to have a C-section. The doctor gave me a prescription. I took them like I should at first. It quickly turned into addiction. Fast forward, nearly 4 years later, was taking 40 to 60 a day.
Yes.
I finally realized I had a problem when the choice was ripped away. I was a functioning addict, a nurse, a mom, paid my bills. No one knew how bad it was. My best friend was the pills. My phone rang in '04. It was my dad with some news. He said they found something on my little brother's brain, my mind I was about to lose. We went to a lot of doctors trying to find the answer. We were all devastated when they said, we're so sorry, it's brain cancer. At that time my brother was just 11. I had not had my son yet. So I just take more and more, so the pain I could forget. He then went into remission, but me, I stayed addicted.
This is her life story, man. This is her life story, man. This is why it is so important to not judge a book by its cover. It's so important to not judge a book by its cover, because you don't know. You look at April and you look at her reactions, and she seems just like a normal functioning person who's behind the camera doing what she loves and whatever else. But you don't know every single person, every single set of bones draped with skin has got its luggage, but you don't see that luggage. That luggage is stored away. You know what I mean? And that's why it is important to not ever break somebody down and push them to the ground for the enjoyment of doing so. You know what I mean? Because you don't know how that affects people. That's why people need to be very cognizant of other people's lives. You don't know who you're talking to, and you don't know how you could affect their lives. You know what I mean? You don't know what happens behind the scenes.
I was so angry at God, I felt I deserved to be afflicted. So anyway, back to 2011, my son was then 3. I finally swallowed my pride and talked to my family. I went to rehab that August, so ashamed and full of guilt. But I knew I had to do it, so my life I could rebuild. I was there for 3 months.
One thing, shame is part of the human condition, by the way. Shame is part of humanity. Shame, crying, feeling guilt, all of that is part of it. So when people are like, say, oh, I was ashamed of myself, that's good, right? That's good. That's you. That is you talking to yourself, saying, what have I done? You know what I mean? That's introspection. Shame is a good thing. The fact that a human being feels shame, right? They're at least connected to themselves. They're connected to their inner soul. Never trust a human being that feels no shame, has done something wrong and feels no shame. Those are the ones you've got to be careful of.
It's my son's 4th birthday. felt like such a failure, but I stayed there anyway. By then my little brother was 17 and the cancer had come back. God, what else can possibly happen? Can you please cut me some slack? I came home that October. Everything felt so strange. Been addicted to drugs over 15 years. My whole life had to change. I got a sponsor, worked the steps, and it changed and saved my life. But recovery hasn't been easy. Been through much pain and strife. My little brother passed away. Watched him take his last breath. Thought nothing would be worse than the shooting and my best friend's death. But boy, was I so wrong. I just wanted to be dead. So 6 months after he died, I put a gun to my head. The only thing that stopped me from killing myself that night was the thought of my son or mom finding me. So I knew I had to fight.
Thank God, actually. Thank God. I will always advocate for life at every single turn. And I know life gets tough and things like that, but I do not and I will not ever condone a human being taking their own life. I will not ever condone that. I believe that a beating heart is super important. I believe that every single person has a purpose on this earth, right? And look at that. Just look at that when we talk about purpose, right? Somebody who was about to take their life, right, had a split-second thought for the child and mother and said, okay, well, I'm not going to do this now. And now you've got, I mean, how many subscribers do you have, April? And now you've got almost 3,200 people that you are positively affecting, and you are positively changing their lives, speaking to them. You now speak to more people than most people speak to in their life. You are speaking to on a daily basis, right? So you had a purpose. You always have a purpose, right? And if you had done that, you would have denied the world, and in this case, on a smaller scale, let's say 3,200 people, your purpose. This is why I say you have a purpose on this earth, even if it is to just one person. You don't know what your being does for somebody else, right? Just like you're doing now. Let's go, man.
I put the gun up and fell to my knees, crying out to God for help. God, please let me know my brother's okay. Help me to help myself. I'd been up over 48 hours, so I laid on my left side in bed. I was half asleep, half awake, still wishing I was dead. When all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt someone's hand grab my right shoulder. I was confused, trying to understand. Then I saw my little brother's beautiful eyes, so bright and blue. Up in the clouds, I felt him hug me, and I knew God had answered my prayer and let me know he was okay. I sat up crying tears of comfort for the first time since he passed away. I then went back to nursing. Not gonna lie, it was hard, but I knew it's what I needed to do to get me out of the dark. Then a year later got a call, my big brother was very ill. I thought, here we go again, is this seriously God's will? I then watched him take his last breath, February 2018. Why's my family going through this? It was so hard to stay clean. Then I began having medical issues, could not work anymore. Lost my home, my peace of mind, and just cried out, why me, Lord? My son and I moved in with my mom. I was in a state of bad depression. Stayed isolated in my room. Writing in music was my therapy session.
That's amazing. You see, music is people's therapy session, as it is for most people, as it was for me when I was growing up, right? I used to spend hours and hours and hours with my headphones on, and they did nothing. For many reasons, which I'm not going to talk about here. I used to put my earphones on and I used to disappear from the world, regardless of what was happening around me or what was happening in my household. And yeah, that's why music is so important to me. This is why I feel music, because music has been the source of my motivation. Music has been the source of my anger. Music has been the source of my happiness. Music has been the source of my depression. Do you know what I mean? But I know what music I need for certain days, right? And I can wake up on certain days and I can be having a bad day and I know what to go to. I know what to get me, I know what music gets me pumped up. I know what music talks to me. I really prefer real artists. I prefer artists that talk. I'm not one of those that just likes the pop song, that type of vibe. It's cool when you're at a party and that kind of vibe. It's either I want really high energetic, high powered sort of productivity music, or I want classical, which is Hans Zimmer is specifically the one I want when it comes to like classical and orchestra, or I just want real talk. 21 Pilots, Eminem, MGK, Whit Lowry, Hobson. We've just recently found Palais Royale, amazing. Five Finger Death Punch, amazing. Just recently found that, just by the way. Black Veil's Bride, amazing. Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse, amazing. I just like real artists. Real artists, Mike Righteous, let's not forget, amazing. Right? I just like artists that punch you straight in the chest. Right? Akala, Khan. There's so many of them. But so many of these people aren't given the credit that they are due. Yes, Eminem, everybody knows Eminem, but there are others that aren't given the credit that they are due. Eminem goes back to when I was a kid, when I was from Eminem's first track, essentially. Eminem was part and parcel of who I was as a person. That's who Eminem was. You know what I mean? He was the reason for most of my resentment and why I fucking hated the world at the time. You know what I mean? So, but that was the phase I was in. And that was the Eminem I absolutely loved. He doesn't resonate with me anymore today, but he'll always have my respect as the GOAT. For me, he'll always be the GOAT for many reasons. But yeah, anyway, let's carry on.
And I found these things called reactions while binge watching YouTube. Loved every minute of it and thought this is something I could do. However, I was very hesitant due to my physical looks, my age, my teeth, just everything. So my head, I just shook. But I kept on watching them. No Life Shack was my inspiration. Then went to a live stream one night and that chat and script work were my motivation. Then November 10th, I did my first reaction. I was so very nervous, but it brought me satisfaction.
Yeah, it brings me back to when I first started. No Life Shack wasn't my motivation, although I used to watch him because I absolutely love No Life Shack. But mine was Laid Back. Laid Back was my motivation. There was something about Laid Back that just resonated with me. I felt more connected with just the way of what he spoke and what he stood for. Yeah, No Life Shack was my motivation to get into reactions, if you people didn't know that. But I did watch No Life Shack. I was watching No Life Shack when he was at 60,000 subscribers. I was subscribed to him. That was No Life Shack I was subscribed to at 60,000. And I was subscribed to Laid Back at 30,000 subscribers. And take a look at them. No Life is on 2 million. And Laid Back is on just over 1,100,000, whatever else. Just goes to show you.
Now here it is 6 months later, and I am now April G. Showers. Never thought this could happen by just watching YouTube for hours. I never thought I'd be a 40-year-old YouTuber with nearly 3K subs. So if you're feeling hopeless, I'm proof of what can happen by not giving up. Yes, I have many haters. I'm told daily I'm wasting my time, but I know I'm doing what I'm meant to do, and no one will ever.
Them 1,000,000 times. Fuck the haters. I get them all the time. I get the haters all the time. You know what? You know why they hate is because they can't do. Those who don't do, talk. That's what happens, man.
Change my mind. So if you're feeling alone, depressed, lost, and worthless, I've been there as well, and I promise you have a purpose. Don't listen to the negativity. Always keep pushing through. I guess what I'm trying to say is if I can do it, so can you.
Favorite piece. Favorite piece you've ever written. Favorite piece you've ever written for me. I thought this was amazing. I thought this was real. I've said this so many times before. So many times before. If you want to make a good soundtrack, right? Now this is slightly different, obviously, but if you want to make a good soundtrack, take your life story, take your experiences, and put them on a beat, right? And even though this was not produced professionally, look at the impact it has. Look at the impact it has. Would you rather listen to 11 minutes of April G showers or 4 minutes of gonna that fucking rainbow head? I can't. That rainbow head retard. Okay? And I hate saying retard because it's just, and I don't want to associate it with anything. Someone brought it up that, oh, you say retard a lot. Take the context into account, okay? Take the context into account, okay? I'm not trying to degrade anybody. I'm trying to call stupid people that, right? So take the context into account, and please, let's not be ninnies about this story. He is a rainbow head retard, okay? So, would you rather listen to 11 minutes of April G showers do this, or that garbage? Who everyone's gawking over what that Nicki Minaj's breasts and ass and that type of shit. Yes, it's entertainment, but at what cost? At what cost? What does he do? What does he do for the community? What does he do for society? Why? And you know what the thing is people say, it's just entertainment. It's not. It's not. Look at the way he sells his apparel. It is targeted to young kids. A pink, colorful shark, colorful colors. It's targeted to young kids. This guy becomes someone's role model at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And then April G. Shower sits there and says, I don't know if I can get on camera because of my looks. Right? Have you seen 6ix9ine? Why on earth is that guy on camera? Have you seen him? I mean, do you know what I mean? So April, please, if you ever feel that you have a problem with you being on camera because of your looks, just remember, right? There is people out there like 6ix9ine and Trippie Redd that have got the face for radio. You know what I mean? Your looks are just fine. Your looks are just fine. It's the personality that everybody comes to your channel for, right? And you're not a bad looking girl either. So, that was epic. This has been my favorite piece for me. So, April, salute, man. This was amazing. I love this. And when you ended it off with purpose, masterpiece for me. Anyway, guys, I love you all. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. Peace.